my name is Kirsten Ott, and my topic for the Islam chapter is 19th century revivalism. Oh, and I'm in group 7. First, I'm going to talk about jihad, then we'll go over a few of the major 19th century movements driven by jihad. And then next, I'll talk about some of the lasting influences of the movements and some of the sheikhs who drove that progress. So jihad is the Arabic word for struggle, and it's a religious duty for every Muslim. There are two kinds of or parts to jihad. The first is inner jihad, which is the struggle to make oneself more Islamic. The second part is outer jihad, which is the struggle to make one's society more Islamic. So really, it's a constant struggle to improve yourself and your surroundings. Many 19th century movements began in the name of jihad in an effort to maintain or improve countries and make them more Islamic. Some of the movements were in response to Wahhabi reforms, which were intended to cleanse the Arab Bedouin from the influence of Sufism. So this would make the area less Islamic and provoke a rebellion in the name of outer jihad. Some movements were also in reaction against European colonialism that was moving in and encroaching on Muslim territory. These movements, when successful, often led to states that lasted for several years, if not more. One thing they all had in common, they all shared an activist ideology and a rebellion to the colonial intrusion. The next slide. So the first major movement that I want to talk about is the Sokoto Caliphate in Nigeria. It was started in 1809 by Uthman Dan Fodio. It created one of the larger states, and most of his followers were Fulani. The caliphate lasted almost 100 years. Uthman Dan Fodio died after only 8 years, but his son, Muhammad Bello, was able to take over, and the caliphate lasted until 1903 before it broke down. I think the leader was overthrown by another rebellion. The next movement is the Senussi movement in Libya, which was led by Muhammad al-Senussi. His main goal was to promote reform and Muslim unity across North and West Africa. He was a scholar and helped to establish schools and libraries, particularly in one area that was previously only inhabited by thieves. The Senussi followers' greatest accomplishment was confronting the Italians and waging jihad against their occupation of Libya. They felt that their occupation was un-Islamic. And then the final movement that I'm going to talk about is the Mahdi Rebellion in Sudan. This rebellion was led by Muhammad Ahmad al-Mahdi. Mahdi saw the Ottoman Egyptian Empire's occupation to be un-Islamic, much like the Senussi movement, and decided to wage a war of jihad against it. This rebellion began in 1881, was won in 1885, and lasted until 1889. So to the lasting influences, the Sufi sheikhs are mostly to thank for the lasting results of these movements. The sheikhs and religious scholars helped to preserve the religious, linguistic, and cultural identity of the countries. These sheikhs and religious scholars were also typically the ones who spearheaded the struggles for independence from French and Italian colonial rule. A few of the important or notable sheikhs are Abdel Qadir, who was important politically to Algeria's independence, King Muhammad V of Morocco, and he negotiated Morocco's independence from France in 1956, And then Idris the First, who was the grandson of al-Sanusi from the Sanusi movement, and he ruled Libya as king from 1957 to 1969. So all of these movements, everything were important to important to Islam. And here are the references that I looked at. That's all I've got.